Hello everyone, welcome to another English language class, and this is for the Form 5 pupils. This is the lesson for Form 5, and then we are using the textbook download B1 Plus. Today's theme is on people and culture, and the unit is Unit 1. The topic is It's Personal. Before we begin, let's get the main skills and the complementary skills. So these are for your learning standards. So we have three main skills here. Listening 1.1.3, recognize independently attitudes or opinions in extended text on a wide range of familiar topics and some unfamiliar topics. And then we have speaking 2.1.2, ask about and explain advantages and disadvantages of ideas, plans, arrangements. And then we have also writing 4.2.3. Produce a plan or draft and modify this appropriately independently. And then let's look at speaking 2.1.4. Explain and justify the point of view of classmates and or others. And then reading 3.1.6. Recognize with little or no support typical features at word, sentence or text levels of a wide range of genres. Dear pupils, let's look at Time's most influential teens of the year 2018. So here you have 4 pictures and then 4 statements about them. Okay, so you need to later on match the statements with the correct pictures. So the first picture is Marley Dice, 13 years old. Number 2, Rishabh Jain, 14 years old. They have Greta Thunberg, 15 years old, and Jake Campbell, 18 years old. So let's look at the statements. A. Started own firm, Lightning Security, and works with cryptocurrency companies to shore up their protection against malicious behavior. B. Distributed more than 11,000 books to libraries, schools, and community organizations around the world. C. Went on a 3-week strike from school in an effort to urge government to act on climate change. And D. Develop a software tool that helps doctors zero in on the pancreas more accurately, ideally improving treatments of cancer. So can you match the influential teens with the correct statements? Here are the answers. So A is for picture 4, Jake Campbell, and B is for Marley Dice, and C is for Greta Thunberg, and then we have D is Rishabh Jain. Now we're going to start the listening activities. Before that, let's match the phrases 1 to 10 with the phrases A to J, which have similar meaning. So let's look at 1. Have a nice chat. So what do you think is the correct answer? Have a nice chat is talk in a friendly way. Number 2, do voluntary work. So the answer is do helpful tasks without being paid. Number 3, get a lot out of something. So the answer is enjoy and see the benefits of something. Number 4, plan activities. The answer is organize things to do. Number 5, have something going on. So the answer is be busy doing something. Have courage is number 6. So the answer is be brave or not afraid. 7, give up doing something. So the answer is stop doing something. Number 8, see the best in something. So the answer is focus on the good parts of something. Number 9, prove someone innocent. So the answer will be show that someone is not guilty of a crime. And lastly, we have number 10, cope with something. So the answer is deal with something. Now the next activity, which is activity 2. When we admire someone, we can say that they have qualities which are admirable. Which of the following qualities do you think are admirable? Put a tick or a cross. Having patience, number 1. Having courage is number 2. Arguing a lot is number 3. Listening to people's problems, number 4. Making trouble, number 5. Gossiping, number 6. Being generous, number 7. And worrying a lot. So what are the admirable qualities? So the answer is having patience, the first one, and also having courage, the second quality. And then we have listening to people's problem, that is the third admirable quality. And then being generous is also another admirable quality. So let's look at this listening part. You will hear 5 short extracts in which people are talking about the person they most admire. For question 1 to 5, choose from the list A to G what qualities each speaker admires in the person they are describing. Use the letters only once. There are 2 extra letters which you do not need to use. So we have A to G. Overcoming a lack of confidence, always seeing the best in people, finding happiness through kindness to others, being well organized and busy, having the courage to follow your dreams, coping well at a difficult time, and being patient with younger people. Then you have for the question 1 to 5. Okay, now let's look at the download part. You probably won't hear the same words on the recording that you read in the list A to G, or if you do, they might not be spoken by the right speaker. You must listen carefully to what each speaker says rather than focus on the words you read. For example, speaker 2 starts off by saying, "I'm not a very confident person," but goes on to talk about her cousin who is much more confident. Which item on the list A to G might you think is the answer if you're not listening carefully?
Unit 1. Listening. Exercise 3. Speaker 1.
The person I admire most is my Aunt Linda. She's already busy with a family and a part-time job, but in her spare time she does voluntary work, helping an old man who lives in her street. Twice a week she visits him, does his laundry, makes his dinner, and just has a nice chat with him. He says that he feels much more cheerful and positive about life since she started visiting him. And as well as helping him, it helps her too, as they both really enjoy their time together. I'm thinking about starting voluntary work too, as my Aunt Linda seems to get a lot out of it.
Speaker 2.
I'm not a very confident person, and I'm not very good at making plans. I don't have the courage to invite people to things in case they don't come. But because of this, I often end up bored and frustrated because I haven't arranged anything. My cousin, though, has always been much more confident. She's always planning activities with people, and she gets so much more out of life. Tonight she's going out for the evening. This weekend she's visiting relatives, and next week she's going away on holiday with colleagues. She's always got something going on. I really must try to be more like her.
Speaker 3.
I really admire my uncle because he wasn't afraid to make big changes in his life. He had a well-paid job in a bank, but his colleagues weren't respectful and used to gossip unkindly about him. He wasn't coping well, and in the end, he decided to do the one thing that he'd always wanted to do: give up his job and travel round the world. At the moment, he's travelling through Africa, which he loves. He hasn't made any plans yet for what to do when he gets back next month. He says he's too busy having fun, and he'll worry about that when it happens. What a great guy!
Speaker 4.
My sister works in a busy office where her colleagues sometimes get really stressed, and because of that, they are always arguing or falling out. However, my sister, who's a manager there, understands why they get upset and tries not to criticize them. She makes time to discuss their problems with them and praises the people who work hard. She says it's just part of her job, but I think it's amazing that she can see past their bad behavior and focus on the good parts of their personalities and what they do well. I'm really proud of her for that.
Speaker 5.
One of my friends had a bad time recently because some of his classmates decided to make trouble for him and accused him of stealing. He hadn't done it, so he had nothing to feel guilty about, but it was a few days until the police proved he was innocent. I really admired the way he dealt with it, though. I would have been miserable and terrified to go out, but he stayed calm and carried on with his normal life because he doesn't believe in worrying. I wish I had his courage.
Now let's look at the answers for the listening activity. So, C is for number 1, overcoming a lack of confidence. Number 2 will be D, being organized and busy. Number 3 is E, having the courage to follow your dreams. And number 4 will be B, always seeing the best in people. And then number 5 is F, coping well at a difficult time. Dear pupils, we are going to move on and we will do the speaking activities. So there are 2 exercises here. The first one is ask and answer these questions with a partner. So there are 3 topics here that you can discuss with your partner. Number 1, which relative or friend do you admire most and give the reason why? Number 2, did you meet most of your friends at school or in other places? And then number 3, do you spend most of your free time with your friends or your family? Which do you prefer? So you can discuss and ask and answer with your with a friend in class. Okay, number 2, when someone asks you for your opinion about something that is worrying them, it's important to be polite and show understanding when you answer. Put a tick against these sentences if they are polite and understanding, and put a cross if they are not. Okay, let's get number 1. Well, obviously you should. So is this a polite way? Answer is no. I think it might be best to. So this is polite and understanding. Let's look at the third sentence of the phrase. If I were you, I'd. So this is polite and understanding. Number 4, I can't believe you're considering. So this is not polite. Number 5, in my opinion, you should. So definitely, this is the correct way to express your opinion. Okay, number 6, it's a terrible idea. So answer is, it's not polite. Number 7, it's a difficult decision, but okay, this is a polite way to express your opinion. And lastly, you're not really going to, are you? So this is not so polite. Now for the speaking part. Follow the instructions and complete the task with your partner. One of you will be student A and the other will be student B. Use the words and phrases in the language bank to help you. Okay, student A, look at the pictures and use the information on page 188 to answer student B's questions. Student B, look at the pictures and then ask student A these questions to find out what the situation is. You should ask, what is the problem? What are some possible solutions? What are the disadvantages of each solution? Using the information you have been given, give student A your advice on what you think the best solution is and why. Explain why you didn't choose the other solution. Now swap roles. Look at the extra practice on page 188 and follow the instructions. Okay, remember that there is no right or wrong answer, and the person in the situation is having difficulty deciding what to do. Therefore, you should show that you understand the problem and explain politely how you made your decision and why you didn't choose the other solution. Let's look at the information for student A. Your friend has recently moved to a new town and school and is feeling a bit lonely. She would like some advice on how to make friends and improve her social life. She is keen on photography, but there is no local photography club for young people. Use this information, answer student B's question. So the questions are, you are given two options. What are some possible solutions? Option 1, tell her to start her own photography club. Option B or 2, tell her to join an existing sports club. Let's look at the disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of each solution? Option 1, which is to start her own photography club. So starting and running a club could be hard work and take a lot of time. Your friend will need to be well organized and confident. For option 2, which is to join an existing sports club. So the disadvantage is your friend won't be doing the activity she really wants to do and won't meet people with the same interests. So let's look at the sample answer or conversation here. So you can practice with your friend. So there will be pair work where you have student A and student B. Try to practice your conversation using this sample answer. Now let's look at student B's task. So student B has to look at the picture and use the information on page 191 to answer student A's questions. So student A look at the picture and ask student B these questions to find out what the situation is. What is the problem? What are some possible solutions? And what are the disadvantages of each solution? So using the information you have learned, give student B your advice on what you think the best solution is and why. Explain why you didn't choose the other solution. So student B information, you and your sister have been invited by some friends to a pop concert with your favorite band. Your sister is very disappointed because she's got an exam the next day. So she has an exam and can't go to the concert. You want to see the band, but you don't want to upset your sister. So option 1, what are some possible solutions? So option 1, go to the concert and promise to buy tickets for your sister next time the band are in town. Or option 2, don't go to the concert and stay at home instead. What are the disadvantages of each solution? Option 1, your sister will probably be angry and upset and might not talk to you for a while. She might do badly in her exam as a result. Option 2, although your sister will be happier, you will miss the concert which your friends are going to. You will be disappointed. So this is the sample answer or conversation. So you can practice with your friend or partner and complete this task. After doing the two exercises, now maybe you can try to do a speaking test where you have to work in pair, and then you can upload your audio to a Padlet. So work in pairs to discuss these questions. First one, what qualities do you think are important for making and maintaining friendships? Do you think it's more important to have lots of friends or a few good friends? There is a popular proverb in English that says, blood is thicker than water. What do you think it means? And do you agree with the proverb? So let's look at the language bank, showing understanding. These are some of the phrases or sentences. I understand your problem, but I'd probably. Number 2, it's difficult to decide, but. Number 3, both options have disadvantages and disadvantages, but. Number 3, it's a difficult decision, but last one, I think in your position, I might.
Julie, what qualities do you think are important for making and maintaining friendships?
Well, there are many qualities like honesty, accountability and responsibility. One thing is clear, finding out that your friend has lied to you always hurts. In cases where lies have been told to hurt you or other parties on purpose, the friendship will never be the same. If the lie caused you great damage, the friendship will not be salvageable. Who would want a treacherous person for a friend? Yet, even when the matter is not of great importance, little lies can lead to the spoiling of relationships.
I agree with you on that. In my opinion, apart from the question of maintaining credibility, sharing one's problems and joys with a friend can also be helpful as we deal with the problems of daily living. As the saying goes, shared joy is double the joy and shared sorrow is half the sorrow. Sharing the good times can brighten up a friend's day if he feels down. Sharing one's problems and despairs with a friend will bring forth the encouragement and advice we need to hear. Sometimes simply having an ear to hear our heart's cries and knowing that someone understands us will make us feel better.
Do you think it's more important to have lots of friends or a few good friends?
I prefer to have fewer friends who are good and closer to me. According to studies and research, humans tend to form highest number of friendships at kindergarten and primary level. However, one tends to have less friends as one grows older and wiser. This is because we realize there are good friends and bad ones. The saying that a friend in need is a friend indeed is very apt in this scenario because good friends are those who are reliable and trustworthy.
What about the popular proverb blood is thicker than water?
Blood is always thicker than water. I learned that phrase when I was much younger, but I never appreciated it until now. My brother was the only one who stood by me when I was being bullied in school at one time. He saw me cornered by a boy whom he knew to be a school bully and he did not wait a second more before stepping in to prevent me from being beaten by that boy.
I also agree with you. Once I quarreled with my best friend, who was popular and everyone else was against me for quarreling with her. My parents consoled me and encouraged me to be happier. They gave me the sound advice of believing in myself. I cannot thank them enough for the support that they have given me so far.
My family will always be there for me while friends are transient. After so many experiences with friends, I realize that I can always choose my friends. It also takes a long time to find a sincere and true friend. With family, it is different because my family cares for me no matter what happens. My brother and I may have our differences, but we always manage to make matters work somehow.
Dear pupils, now we are going to do the next lesson, which is grammar. So here we are going to learn relative clauses. Relative clauses give us more information about the subject or the object of a sentence. They are introduced by the following relative pronouns: who, whom, which, that, where, why, when, and whose. So there are a few examples here. The little girl who or that I look after during the day is adopted. The laundry which or that is in the basket is filthy. That's the place where my father met my stepmother. That is the reason why Joe is grumbling. That was the time when I had an argument with my brother. This is the woman whose daughter does our housework. There are two relative clauses. One is defining relative and another one is non-defining relative clause. So the defining relative clause gives us important information which we need in order to understand the meaning of the main clause. The chore which or that I hate most is the washing up. The sentence would not make sense without which or that I hate most. Okay, if you say the chore is the washing up. So without which or that I hate most, the sentence would not make any sense. Okay, when who, whom, that, and which are the objects of a defining relative clause, they can be omitted. Example, the men who or that are invited to the get-together are my uncles. So you can write, the men are invited to the get-together are my uncles. Okay, now let's look at non-defining relative clause. It gives us extra information which we do not need in order to understand the meaning of the main clause. We must use commas to separate a non-defining relative clause from the main clause. Molly, comma, who often gossips, doesn't get along with her peers. We cannot use that in a non-defining relative clause, and we cannot omit the relative pronouns. Now, for preposition in relative clauses. Prepositions usually come at the end of the relative clause. They can also come before the relative pronouns, but this makes the sentence sound very formal. Example, his books about relationships for which he is famous sell very well. So it is very formal. His books about relationships which he is famous for sell very well. So this is more common. We cannot use a preposition before who or that. We can use one before whom, but that makes the sentence sound very formal too. The woman who or the woman that I was talking to is my wife. The woman to whom I was talking to is my wife. So this is very formal. So the second sentence, the woman to whom I was talking is my wife. So to has gone to the front of whom. Okay, next, when the preposition is before the relative pronouns, we cannot omit the relative pronouns even it is the object of the relative clause. Is this the project which you won the prize for? Is this the project that you won the prize for? So is this the project you won the prize for? Is this a project for which you won the prize? So which cannot be omitted. Let's look at the exercises. Read these sentences and underline the relative clauses. Which sentence means that the speaker has more than one brother and that the one who has written a book lives in Scotland? 2. Only has one brother and that he has written a book and lives in Scotland. Let's look at the first one. My brother who has written a book on personal relationships lives in Scotland. B. My brother who has written a book on personal relationships lives in Scotland. So, the first one, my brother who has written a book on personal relationships lives in Scotland. So, number 2, who has written a book on personal relationship lives in Scotland. So, which one is the correct meaning for the sentence? So, sentence B is the speaker has more than one brother and that the one who has written a book lives in Scotland. So it is B. My brother who has written a book on personal relationships lives in Scotland. Okay, so this is only, okay, this one has more than one brother. This is the meaning of this sentence. But for sentence A, my brother who has written a book on personal relationships lives in Scotland. So this sentence means that, okay, what's the meaning? It means that only has one brother and that he has written a book and lives in Scotland. So has more than one brother is sentence B. Only has one brother is sentence A. Next, we have the next exercise, which is exercise 3. Circle the correct words. Learning about relationships. So you have to circle the correct words. Example, number 1, you have which, that. Number 2, whom, who. Number 3, why, which. Number 4, who, which. Number 5, where, went. Number 6, where, what. Number 7, that, whom. Number 8 will be that, to which. Number 9, a blank, where. And then you have number 10, for which, that. And 11, blank, whose. And then lastly 12, why or which.
Circle the correct words. Learning about relationships. The book Impression Management, 1. Which is about the different relationships between people, was written by Barry R. Schlenker, 2. Who is an American professor. The main reason 3. Why Schlenker wrote the book was because he felt that people should have more information about relationships. The main idea of the book, 4. Which argues that people try to control how others see them in almost every social relationship, was not particularly popular in 1980, 5. When the book was first published. However, in the universities and colleges 6. Where the book was taught, there were many students 7. That felt that Schlenker's thoughts on relationships were important ones 8. That people should learn about and discuss. Much of the support 9. The book received, 10. For which Schlenker was very thankful, came from his own students. He was also very thankful to his wife, parents, and colleagues 11. Whose advice and encouragement helped him greatly. At the beginning of the book, Schlenker says that it was these people and these relationships 12. Which made the production of impression management possible.
Dear pupils, let's try to understand relative clauses better. So what is a relative clause? We can use relative clauses to join two sentences or to give more information about something. Example, I bought a new car. It is very fast. So you can join these two sentences. I bought a new car. That is very fast. Number 2, she lives in Seremban. She likes living in Seremban. So you can join the two sentences. She lives in Seremban, which she likes. Now let's look at the types of relative clauses. So there are 2, defining and non-defining. A defining relative clause tells which noun we are talking about. I like the woman who lives next door. If I don't say who lives next door, then we don't know which woman I mean. A non-defining relative clause gives us extra information about something. We don't need this information to understand the sentence. I live in London, which has some fantastic parks. Everyone knows where London is, so which has some fantastic park is extra information. Let's look at relative clauses, defining relative clauses. The first one as relative pronouns is the subject. First, let's consider when the relative pronouns is the subject of a defining relative clause. So we can use who, which, or that. We use who for people and which for things. So don't forget this, okay? We can use that for people or things. The relative clause can come after the subject or the object of the sentence. We can't drop the relative pronouns. Let's look at the examples. So this is clause after the object of the sentence. I'm looking for a secretary who or that can use the computer well. She has a son who or that is a doctor. We bought a house which or that is 200 years old. I sent a letter which or that arrived 3 weeks later. The relative pronouns is the subject. So again, remember that we can use who, which or that. Who for people and which for things. We can use that for people or things. The relative clause can come after the subject or the object of the sentence. Remember that we can't drop the relative pronoun. So let's look at the example where clause after the subject of the sentence. The people who or that live on the island are very friendly. The man or who that phoned me is my brother. The camera which that costs Rn 700 is over there. The house which or that belongs to Julie is in Moa. Let's look at other examples. Here the relative pronoun is the object. In this case, we can drop the relative pronouns if we want to. Again, the clause can come after the subject or the object of the sentence. Here are some examples. Clause after the object. So you can see the object here. The object, they are the chocolate, the village, woman or the man. Okay. So the first one, she loves the chocolate I bought. So you can drop which or that. We went to the village. Lucy recommended. John met a woman I had been to school with. The police arrested a man Jill worked with. So here remember that you can drop the relative pronouns. Okay, next. Clause after the subject. So the subjects are the bike, the university, the woman, the doctor. So the first one, the bike I love was stolen. Number 2, the university she likes is famous. Number 3, the woman my brother loves is from Ipoh. The last sentence, the doctor my grandmother liked lived in Kuantan. Now, non-defining relative clauses. We don't use that in non-defining relative clauses. So, we need to use which if the pronoun refers to a thing and who if it refers to a person. Okay, remember which is for thing and who is for a person. You can't drop the relative pronouns in this kind of clause, even if the relative pronouns is the subject of the clause. The first one, clause comes after the subject. The subject will be my boss, my sister, my bicycle, my mother's house. My boss, who is very nice, lives in Kajang. My sister, who I live with, knows a lot about cats. Number 3, my bicycle, which I've had for more than 10 years, is falling apart. My mother's house, which I grew up in, is very small. Let's look at the next few sentences where clause comes after the subject. Yesterday I called our friend Julie, who lives in Seremban. Number 2, the photographer called the artist who looked annoyed. Last week I bought a new phone, which I don't like now. I really love the new Chinese restaurant, which we went to last night. Now for prepositions and relative clauses. If the verb in the relative clause needs a preposition, we put it at the end of the clause. For example, listen to. The music is good. Julie listens to the music. So you can write the music Julie listens to is good. Okay. Work with. My brother met a woman. I used to work with the woman. So you can write My brother met a woman I used to work with. Go to. The country is very hot. He went to the country. So the country he went to is very hot. Next, come from. I visited the city. John comes from the city. I visited the city. John comes from. Apply for. The job is well paid. She applied for the job. The job she applied for is well paid. Here we have more prepositions and relative clauses. Whose. Whose is always the subject of the relative clause and can't be left out. It replaces a possessive. It can be used for people or things. Let's look at the first one. The dog is over there. The dog's its owner lives next door. So the dog whose owner lives next door is over there. Number 2, the little girl is sad. The little girl's her door was lost. So the little girl whose door was lost is sad. Number 3, the woman is coming tonight. Her car is a BMW. The woman whose car is a BMW is coming tonight. Next, the house belongs to me. Its roof is very old. The house whose roof is old belongs to me. Next, we have relative clause question words. Where, when, why. We can sometimes use these question words instead of relative pronouns and prepositions. I live in a city. I study in the city. So you can write I live in the city where I study. Or you can also write I live in the city that I study in. Or I live in the city which I study in. So you can write I live in the city in which I study. The second sentence, the cafe in Bangi is still there. I met my wife in that cafe. So the first sentence, the cafe in Bangi where I met my wife is still there. The cafe in Bangi that or which I met my wife in is still there. The cafe in Bangi which I met my wife in is still there. Okay, next. The summer was long and hot. I graduated from university in the summer. So the sentences are, the summer when I graduated from the university was long and hot. Number 2, the summer that or which I graduated from university in was long and hot. And the next one, the summer in which I graduated was long and hot. Dear pupils, now we are going to do writing. So here, let's look at email. So read the task carefully. It is important to read writing tasks carefully so that you know exactly what you have to do. If you hurry through all the details, you could answer incorrectly. The details are there to help you understand important points. The situation you are in, the reason you're writing, the topic you have to write about, and the type of language you should use. Read this writing task and answer the questions below it. You have received an email from your English speaking friend. I have to write about personal relationships for a class project. Can you help me by telling me about your most important relationship? Who is it with? What is he or she like? I don't want to be nosy, but can you also explain why the relationship is important to you? Write soon. Mary. Write your email. Okay, you are supposed to write in about 140 to 190 words. First, let's look at the most important thing here. You have to read the task carefully and then answer the question. So let's look at the situation. Who has sent you the email? Definitely it is Mary, your friend. What does she have to do? So she has to do a class project. Okay, next reason. Why are you replying? Are you going to tell her news? Or are you going to give her information? Or are you going to give her advice? So the answer is to give her information. And then let's look at the topic. What is the main thing you have to write about? So the most important thing is to write your most important relationship. What points do you have to include? So you have to include about the relationship. Who is it? What he or she is like or they are like. Why is the relationship important? And then let's look at the language. What relationship do you have with the person you are writing to? So answer is he or she is your friend. Is a formal or informal writing style best? So the answer will be informal writing. Read this writing task and answer the questions. You have received an email from your English-speaking friend. Our teacher has asked us to prepare a talk on what young people in different countries do when they are not at school. Can you help by writing and explaining what it's like in your country? What do young people do at home? Where do they go out and what do they do there? Thanks, Billy. Write your email 140 to 190 words. So first, ask yourself question 1 to 7 in 1, underlining any words in this task that you think might be useful when you are planning or writing. Take the 2 writing skills you will mainly need to answer this email. So number 1, expressing an opinion. Number 2, explaining. Number 3, describing. Number 4, suggesting. So the answer is explaining and also describing. And then for number 3, read this email that was written in answer to the questioning 2. Which 2 of the following phrases are the most suitable for ending the email? I look forward to your reply. Good luck. Have a good time. I hope I've helped. So answer will be good luck. And also I hope I've helped.
Hi.
Let's look at number 4. The writer uses a separate paragraph in her email for each new topic to make it easier for the reader to follow. In the email entry, this is the email, find and underline the words that tell us the topic of paragraph 2 and 3. So which set phrases has the writer used to introduce them? So let's look at the answer. Number 4, we have the answer. First of all, paragraph 2 will be first of all, and then we have paragraph 3 when it comes to going out. Now for number 5, when you expand the topic of a paragraph, use linking words in the sentences that follow to add the new information. Which linking words have been used in paragraph 2 and 3? So you have to circle them. So let's look at the linking words. Paragraph 2, we have words such as though. Then we have the next one will be also. Then we have to. Okay, so we have 3, though, also, and 2. Next, what about paragraph 3? Paragraph 3, we have or, then we have otherwise, we have and, we have as well as. So these are the linking words. Now number 6, look at these linking words. Are they formal or informal? So F will be for formal and I will be for informal. So in addition is formal. Besides that, normally you say besides, you can exclude that. So besides will be informal. Moreover is formal. Apart from that is informal. As well will be informal. Furthermore is formal. For task 7, read this writing task and use the plan and the language bank to help you write your email. When you have finished, check your work carefully. You have received a letter from your English-speaking pen friend. I'm doing a social studies course at college and I've got a project to do about family life. Can you help? Could you tell me about your normal family routine at home, meals, homework, and how you spend leisure time together as a family? I just need you to explain things and tell me what usually happens in your house. Love, Tim. Write your email, 140 to 190 words. So let's look at the plan. Plan will be paragraph 1. Comment on Tim's email to you. Say how you feel about helping him. Paragraph 2, 3, and 4. Introduce paragraph topic. Give information and use linking words. Paragraph 5. Comment on his project. Say you hope you have helped. So let's look at download. Read the writing task carefully and underline important points so you can check back quickly. Make your writing easy to read by introducing the topic in the first sentence of each paragraph. Use linking words for each piece of information you add. Dear pupils, now you need to look at the language bank. So these are some suggestions for opening paragraph. You can write, it was great to get your email. It looks as if you're busy right now. Your news sounds, maybe you can write your news sounds great, or your news sounds interesting, or you can write I hoped. Next, for the introduction of topics. So it is informal. You can write to start with, first of all, as for, when it comes to, or you can write lastly. So this will be to introduce the topics for each paragraph. Now linking information. So it is informal. You can write as well, also, to, besides, apart from that, otherwise, though. And then if you want to write routine, you can use always, usually, normally, often, sometimes, rarely, hardly, or ever. And for meals, you can use everyone gets their own food ready, or everyone make or cook a meal, lunch, dinner, grab a quick snack, eat in front of the TV, sit around the table, serve a meal around 8 o'clock. So you can use this information to write your email. Housework, do chores, the housework, lend a hand, do the washing up, do the laundry, dust, sweep, mop, clean. For leisure time, you can use chat, discuss, argue, share the same interests, share the same hobbies or pastimes, be interested in something, spend time together doing something, and enjoy doing something. Now let's look at the sample answers for this writing task. Remember the plan, paragraph 1, comment on Tim's email to you and say how you feel about helping him. And paragraphs 2 to 4, introduce paragraph topic, give information and use linking words. And then the last paragraph, which is paragraph 5, comment on his project and say you hope you have helped. For paragraph 1, remember that you have to comment on Tim's email to you and say how you feel about helping him. There are 3 examples here. Hi Tim, I received your letter or your email last week and I will gladly help you with your project about family life. Number 2, hi Tim, I was excited to receive your letter and I can definitely help with your project. The third example, hi Tim, it was great to get your email. My answer to your request is a definite yes. You have been given a very interesting project. I will try my best to assist you. For paragraph 2, 3 and 4, remember that you have to introduce the paragraph, topics, then you have to give information. Remember that it is the normal family routine at home, meals, housework, how you spend your leisure time as a family. There is an example here. So as I am a Muslim, my family normally starts the day with morning prayers. And then mom will prepare breakfast and some food for my supply to school. Then my sister and I are driven to school in my father's car. After school, we are fetched home by my aunt as both my parents are working. Both of us will have our lunch in my aunt's house. As a full-time housewife and the elder sister to my mom, my aunt is free to help out. In addition, all her 3 children are studying in universities. In the afternoon, she then brings us to the tuition center. As I am in Form 5, I'll be sitting for the most important examination, SPM. My daily routine is crammed with extra classes, so I only help with the house chores during weekends. I will mop the floor on Saturday morning and help mom with lunch. You can write other examples like, in my family, as both parents are working, we seldom go on long holidays. There are weekend trips back to my grandparents' village. The house is about an hour's journey, which is a blessing as I don't like long journeys by car. I do enjoy train rides though, so my parents sometimes plan longer trips by train. When they apply for leaves, we will travel to Penang and Langkawi, our favorite destinations. Food and shopping, the 2 things we will not miss. Sometimes that will bring us to a recreational park near our housing area on Sunday. There are great hiking routes there. We often have picnics at the river after our hike. For paragraph 5, you can comment on his project. Hope you have helped. So remember that you have to write these 2 ideas. Comment on his project and say that you hope you have helped. I hope I have provided you with good information about my family life. I know that you will be able to rise to the occasion and do an excellent job for your project. Or you can write, in my opinion, your project could enrich your knowledge about others' cultures and lifestyles. I hope my sharing is of great help to you. Dear pupils, you can complete this reload exercise on the Google form. Just scan the QR code. So it is for Unit 1, it's personal. And remember, it is for the reload exercise. Or you can just type in the link below. Dear pupils, thank you for watching this lesson. And then do remember to subscribe to my channel. It is called Educator OmniTube. So see you in another lesson, which is Unit 2. Bye bye.